If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Something's seriously broken in Cleveland. 6 weeks into the season, and the Browns' offense looks like it's running in mud, stuck, predictable, and completely unable to find any rhythm. What was supposed to be a balanced, disciplined attack under Kevin Stefanski has turned into a disjointed, frustrating mess that's leaving fans wondering whether this offense will ever figure itself out. Sunday's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't just underline the problem, it practically highlighted it in bold, neon letters. Every drive felt like an uphill battle. Every play seemed like a struggle for inches, and the scoreboard, just 9 measly points, told the story better than any stat sheet ever could. When you look at the tape from that game, it's hard to decide where to start diagnosing the issue because, frankly, there are problems everywhere. The Browns managed only 248 yards of total offense, and that's not against an elite 2000s Ravens defense. It's a good, but beatable, Steelers front. Still, they looked completely overwhelmed. Whether it was Dylan Gabriel trying to survive constant pressure or Quinshon Judkins running into walls of black and gold every time he touched the ball, Cleveland never found a spark. The offense sputtered from the first drive, and by halftime, it was clear the Browns weren't just struggling, they were lost. And here's the thing, this isn't a one-game issue. This has been building for weeks. The Browns are averaging just 3.3 yards per play. Yes, per play, and went 0 for 3 in the red zone against Pittsburgh. That's not just bad luck, that's systemic failure. When an NFL team can't capitalize inside the 20, it's a sign that either the scheme isn't working, the play calling is out of sync, or the execution is flat-out poor. In Cleveland's case, it's probably all three. What's baffling is that even when the ground game had shown flashes of life in previous weeks, Stefanski seemed to abandon it completely against the Steelers, asking a rookie quarterback to drop back 52 times against one of the most aggressive defensive fronts in football. That's not just questionable strategy, that's borderline self-sabotage. You can see it on Gabriel's face during games, that mix of determination and frustration that every young quarterback wears when he knows he's being asked to do too much too soon. The kid has talent, no doubt, but no rookie should be throwing over 50 passes in an AFC North slugfest while his offensive line crumbles around him. It's coaching malpractice. And speaking of that offensive line, it's a disaster zone right now. Both starting tackles are injured, and to make matters worse, Jack Conklin went down again with a concussion in the Pittsburgh game. That left the Browns patching together protection with backups and practice squad players, and the results were exactly what you'd expect. 6 sacks, 14 QB hits, 24 pressures. That's not a stat line. That's a cry for help. When an offense can't block, nothing else works. The running game disappears, play action becomes meaningless, and every dropback feels like a countdown to disaster. Judkins, who's shown flashes of promise in his rookie season, had nowhere to run. Holes closed before he could hit them, and Pittsburgh defenders were practically living in the backfield. He finished the day with just 65 rushing yards, and it's not because he played poorly. It's because there was simply no space to operate. The Browns' offensive line used to be one of the league's strengths. Now, it's a liability, and until it gets fixed, everything else will continue to crumble around it. But let's not let the coaching staff off the hook. Stefanski's play calling has become increasingly erratic, and fans are starting to lose patience. There's a fine line between creativity and confusion, and right now, it feels like Stefanski is leaning hard toward the latter. His insistence on throwing the ball so often, especially with a young quarterback under siege, makes no sense. There were moments in that game where you could almost hear the collective groan of Browns fans wondering, why aren't we running the ball more? It's as if Stefanski doesn't trust his offense to play a physical, methodical brand of football anymore. So he's forcing the passing game in hopes that something will click. But it hasn't, and each week it feels like Cleveland is drifting further away from its identity. The Browns have always prided themselves on toughness, on controlling the line of scrimmage, on grinding opponents down. That's what made them dangerous under Stefanski early in his tenure. A bruising run game that set the tone and made life easier for whoever was under center. But somewhere along the line, that identity got lost. Maybe it's the injuries, maybe it's overthinking, maybe it's desperation. Whatever it is, it's sapping the life out of this team. Watching the Browns' offense right now is like watching a band try to play without rhythm. Every note feels off, every transition clumsy. And now, the Browns are heading into what could be the most telling game of their season, a home matchup against the Miami Dolphins. On paper, it looks like the perfect opportunity for a bounce-back performance. Miami's defense has been abysmal, dead last in rushing yards allowed, giving up nearly 170 per game, 30th in total defense, and allowing almost 29 points a week. If there was ever a defense tailor-made for Cleveland to rediscover its groove, this is it. But here's the catch. If the Browns can't move the ball against this defense, it's time to start asking some serious questions. For all their flaws, the Dolphins' offense can score in bunches. If Cleveland's offense stalls again, this game could get ugly fast. That's why this matchup is such a litmus test. If the Browns come out flat, if they can't establish the run, if they continue to look lost inside the red zone, the pressure on Kevin Stefanski and general manager Andrew Berry will skyrocket. Fans are already restless. Another showing like the one in Pittsburgh could push them into outright fury. Because at some point, it's not just about execution, it's about leadership. And right now, it feels like this coaching staff doesn't have the answers. What the Browns need, desperately, is a spark. They need Judkins to run angry, to fight for every yard, to remind the league that Cleveland's ground game can still dictate a game. They need the offensive line to find some pride and play physical football, even if they're banged up. They need Gabriel to settle down, protect the football, and trust that he doesn't have to play hero ball on every drive. And above all, they need Stefanski to simplify the game plan, run the ball, control the clock, use play action to take pressure off the rookie, and let the defense, which has been solid, carry some of the load. It sounds simple, but simplicity is often the antidote to chaos. The Browns are overcomplicating everything, from personnel rotations to situational play calling. You can sense it. The offense doesn't play loose, it plays tense. Every snap feels like a test they're afraid to fail. When a team is that tight, mistakes pile up, confidence disappears, and before long, frustration turns into finger-pointing. Cleveland isn't there yet, but they're dangerously close. The truth is, the Browns still have talent. Gabriel, for all his rookie ups and downs, has shown poise and arm strength. Judkins has that burst and vision that could make him a star if given room to work. Amari Cooper remains a reliable veteran presence who can make contested catches. Even the defense, led by Myles Garrett, has done its part to keep games close. The problem is cohesion. This offense looks like 11 guys playing separate games instead of one unit working together. Until that changes, no amount of talent will save them. Sunday against Miami is a crossroads moment. Either the Browns find a way to reignite their offense, or they'll confirm what everyone's starting to suspect, that this unit, as currently constructed and coached, has no answers left. If they can't take advantage of a defense as porous as Miami's, then what hope do they have against the tougher defenses still on the schedule? The clock is ticking, and the margin for error is shrinking fast. Cleveland fans are loyal, but they're also tired of promises, tired of next week will be different, tired of waiting for an offense that never shows up. This team has the potential to compete, but potential doesn't win games. Execution does. And right now, execution is exactly what's missing. If Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry can't find a way to fix it soon, then the Browns' offensive struggles won't just continue. They'll define the season. The time for excuses is over. The time for answers is now. Because if the Browns walk out of their own stadium next Sunday having failed to move the ball against one of the league's worst defenses, then maybe it's not just the players or the injuries. Maybe it's something deeper, a system that's lost its edge, a coach who's lost his touch, and a franchise once again standing on the edge of another disappointing season. For the Browns, it's do-or-die time, and everyone knows it. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL as one of the league's most explosive defensive talents, Myles Garrett, has reportedly demanded a trade from the Cleveland Browns following a heated and reportedly explosive confrontation with the team's front office. According to multiple sources close to the situation, tensions between Garrett and the Browns have reached a boiling point, with both sides now at a crossroads that could redefine the trajectory of not only the team, but also Garrett's career. This isn't just another locker room disagreement. Insiders describe the incident as a full-scale showdown between one of the NFL's premier pass rushers and the franchise he has called home since being selected first overall. The fallout from this clash is already sending ripples through league circles, with rival teams reportedly taking notice and evaluating just what it would take to land the defensive juggernaut. The situation, as it's being described by insiders, escalated over several weeks, culminating in a private meeting that sources characterize as explosive between Garrett and the Browns executives. While the specifics of the exchange are being tightly guarded, it's said to have involved intense disagreement over the team's direction, player treatment, and, perhaps most significantly, Garrett's role in the organization moving forward. What makes this development particularly intriguing and alarming for Browns fans is that Garrett, known for his fiery personality and relentless drive on the field, is not a player to quietly accept perceived slights or limitations. The defensive end has been a cornerstone of the Browns' defensive identity, a player who consistently commands attention from opposing quarterbacks, and now, the same fire that has made him a superstar appears to be pushing him out the door. The mere fact that an elite player of his caliber is openly demanding a trade is sending shockwaves not just in Cleveland, but across the entire NFL landscape. Rumors are swirling that several teams are already positioning themselves to make a move should the Browns be forced to accommodate Garrett's wishes. Executives from multiple franchises are reportedly on high alert, analyzing salary cap implications, potential draft compensation, and the strategic advantage of adding a game-changing pass rusher to their roster. While some teams may see the situation as a high-risk, high-reward opportunity, others are reportedly intrigued by the chance to acquire a player who, despite the current turmoil, remains one of the most dominant forces on defense in the league. Sources suggest that Garrett's representatives have made it clear that the player is serious about this trade request, signaling that he is no longer willing to tolerate what he perceives as organizational dysfunction or limitations on his ability to compete at the highest level. Adding another layer to this unfolding drama is the timing. With the NFL in its offseason, teams are actively reshaping rosters, scouting potential targets, and considering trades that could reshape the balance of power across the league. The Browns, who have invested heavily in building a competitive roster around Garrett, are reportedly facing a difficult dilemma. On one hand, they cannot afford to alienate a player of his caliber and risk losing him for less than his market value. On the other, acceding to his demands could set a precedent for other players, potentially destabilizing team culture and management authority. The tension, insiders say, is palpable, and the Browns' internal deliberations are said to be intense, with executives weighing every possible angle, from the financial implications to the message it sends to the locker room. Speculation about the catalyst for Garrett's frustration is already heating up. Some reports hint at disagreements over contract negotiations, playing schemes, or even personnel decisions made by the front office. Others suggest that Garrett may feel underappreciated or undervalued, especially given his status as one of the league's premier pass rushers and his contributions to a defense that has been a source of pride for Cleveland. Whatever the root cause, the confrontation is being framed as more than just a clash of egos. It's about a player asserting control over his career, demanding recognition for his talents, and refusing to accept a situation that he deems unsatisfactory. The Browns' response, or lack thereof, is likely to shape not only Garrett's immediate future, but also the narrative surrounding the franchise for months to come. Meanwhile, social media has erupted with fans and pundits weighing in on the drama. Cleveland supporters are expressing a mixture of shock, disappointment, and concern over the possibility of losing a player they've celebrated as a cornerstone of the team. Meanwhile, commentators from around the league are dissecting every angle, debating which teams might be in the running to acquire Garrett and what kind of return the Browns could realistically demand. Fantasy football analysts are already projecting the ripple effects this trade could have across the league, while insiders continue to feed the rumor mill with tidbits suggesting that a resolution could be coming sooner rather than later. The intensity of the chatter underscores just how significant this situation has become, transforming what might have been a quiet offseason story into a full-blown NFL talking point that dominates headlines. Adding to the intrigue is the mystery surrounding potential trade destinations. Teams with glaring needs along the defensive line are being linked to Garrett, with speculation ranging from the likes of perennial contenders seeking the final piece to push them over the top, to rebuilding teams willing to gamble on his talent to accelerate a turnaround. There are whispers of complex trade scenarios involving high draft picks, multiple players, and even potential salary cap maneuvers to make the deal work. The uncertainty is fueling debate among fans, analysts, and executives alike. Would Garrett prefer a team with immediate Super Bowl aspirations, or one where he can redefine a franchise? Each scenario has its own set of risks and rewards, and the suspense surrounding the eventual outcome is keeping the entire NFL ecosystem on edge. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is clear: the Cleveland Browns are at a pivotal moment, and the NFL may be on the verge of witnessing a seismic shift. Myles Garrett, a player whose talent and intensity are matched by few, has made his position unmistakably clear, setting the stage for a trade saga that could dominate sports headlines for weeks. Whether this leads to an agreement that satisfies all parties or sparks a drawn-out standoff, the implications are enormous, not just for Garrett and the Browns, but for the league as a whole. With the rumors swirling, the speculation intensifying, and the stakes higher than ever, this is the kind of story that reminds fans why the NFL is as thrilling off the field as it is on it. The drama, the tension, and the potential for a blockbuster trade are all converging into a narrative that is as unpredictable as it is captivating, leaving everyone, players, executives, and fans alike, on the edge of their seats, waiting to see what happens next. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!